we are back on the road again. We are the Two Wheel Buckeyes. I'm Keith.
I'm Dawn.
And today we are heading south down to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. If you don't know anything about Point Pleasant, it's really a nice little town that has both history and mystery. It has a lot of history to it with the Battle of Point Pleasant and the fort that's down there, and some of the battles that took place just prior to the Revolutionary War. We'll be taking a look at those, talking about a little bit about the legend of Chief Cornstalk, who was the leader of the Shawnee tribe at the time. We'll also be taking a look at the mystery of the Mothman. If you don't know anything about the Mothman, back in 1966, over 100 people from this town supposedly witnessed a very large creature, 8 feet tall, with wings and red eyes. And it was hanging around for about a year. So it was seen a lot out around an area where there used to be an ammunition factory. Don't know if we'll be able to get out there today because we've had so much rain and it may be too wet out there. We're going to try to get out there. But the idea was the Mothman hung around for about a year, was witnessed by over 100 people. And then unfortunately in 1967, in December, 10 days before Christmas, the very large silver bridge down there collapsed. And even though engineers and structural people came in and came up with a reason why they felt it collapsed, a lot of the legend is that it was the Mothman prophecy that a disaster was going to take place. And then the unusual thing was, after the disaster, which took the lives of 46 people who went directly into the water from the bridge, the Mothman was not seen again after the disaster. So that just kind of adds to the intrigue of everything. So we're going to be taking a look at the history and the mystery of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. We ask that if you would help us out by hitting the subscribe and like button. And in the meantime, enjoy the ride. It's a beautiful day. And let's grip it and rip it. We are walking into the battlefield area. We'll take a look at the history part of Point Pleasant. So this is the Battle of Point Pleasant.
Occurred on October the 10th of 1774.
Okay. Monument was erected in 1909 in commemoration of the Battle of Point Pleasant, fought at the mouth of the Great Kanawha River, October 10th, 1774, between 1,250 Virginia colonial troops composing the left wing of Lord Dunmore's army, commanded by General Andrew Lewis on one side, and an equal number of warriors from the United Indian Nations, Shawnees, Delawares, and various other tribes. The renowned Shawnee chief, known to the Virginians as Chief Cornstalk. Well, you heard us talk about Chief Cornstalk. This monument rests the remains of Chief Cornstalk. He was well known and respected by the white settlers and Indian tribes of the Ohio Valley as chief of the Shawnees and head of the northwestern Confederated tribes, Cornstalk decided to make peace with the white man. However, he was forced to lead the attack on the Long Knives at the Battle of Point Pleasant on October 10, 1774. Although he survived the battle, he was murdered 3 years later by soldiers at Fort Randolph. So the way I understand it is once there was a treaty, he was lured to this fort with the idea there was going to be a meeting, and they murdered him while he was there.
And I think the legend, to believe, is that he cursed this area.
Right.
Point Pleasant.
Yep, that's one of the mystery legends is that Chief Cornstalk, because of that, put a curse on the area, and that may have been what caused the Silver Bridge collapse by some people's standards. So this is the little memorial they have set up for the Silver Bridge collapse. Constructed in 1928, connected Point Pleasant and Conegawa, Ohio. Name credited to aluminum colored paint used. First I-bar suspension bridge of its type in the U.S. Rush hour collapse on 15th of December 1967 resulted in 31 vehicles falling into the river, killing 46 and injuring 9. The failed I-bar joint and weld was identified as the cause, resulted in congressional passage of National Bridge Inspection Standards in 1968. So in the way I understand it, it ended up not being built the way it was originally planned. It was supposed to have cables, and they switched it well into the project on the I-bar joint because it was cheaper. And there's just a little plaque that they've put together. I know they'll have flowers, things like that, but you can kind of see they have a little mural down there of like where you can kind of envision what the bridge looked like through there. And then it came up right through here, right into the heart of Point Pleasant. So this is the actual site of the Silver Bridge collapse, December 15th, 1967. 46 people lost their lives. I believe they said there were 61 cars on the bridge. 30-some went down. Definitely some heroic stories. I think they said only 5 people that went into the water actually survived. They were able to get out of their cars and come up to the surface. The water temperature at that time was 32 degrees, so you weren't going to last long in that water. And those couple individuals came up, and there happened to be somebody watching the event nearby that was an employee who had a boat and just happened to be staring at the bridge, saw the bridge go down. He and another coworker hopped into their boat, came out here immediately and picked up 4 people. The only reason those people survived, or they wouldn't have survived long in the water. They said two people have never been found, and I believe they said there were 9 individuals under 14 years old that lost their lives that day. And at the time, this was the only place that the next bridge down to get over the river was about 20-25 miles. They set up a ferry service for people to go across the river temporarily, and within a very short period of time, within a year, they built the new, what they call the Silver Bridge Memorial Bridge down there. But again, the problem is you can bypass Point Pleasant. There's an exit there, but you don't have to get off, whereas this bridge took people right into Point Pleasant, so it really helped the economy to have this bridge go right into town. So kind of a somber moment here. It wasn't that long ago.
They also said with it being Christmas time that among all the debris and the mangled cars were Christmas presents floating in the
Yep.
river.
Yeah,
That was hard.
there were some pictures and people mentioning that seeing the Christmas presents floating because it was 10 days before Christmas. But kind of a moment to reflect and think about how valuable life is. At any moment, something like that could happen. Those people were just going home in the evening and expected to be home, spending Christmas with family, and 46 people didn't. And they said that it really affected the town because there's, like I mentioned, 4,000 people in town, and everybody knew somebody who had died or a family. This is a nice little park area they have set up here along the river with a nice, very cool mural along the flood wall showing some of the history part of Point Pleasant and some of the Native American life that was here long before a lot of other people. This is the hotel, the Lowe's Hotel. Supposedly, it's haunted. So we don't have a lot of information on that other than that's supposedly one of the haunted locations for Point Pleasant. So maybe somebody out there has a little more information for us on that than we do.
Or if you've ever stayed there.
Yeah. May come down here one time and just stay in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a little video on it and it just kind of reminded us of The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I thought it was kind of like here for, that is cool. 51 you said?
Yeah, 51 simplex.
Wow.
They used them in World War II.
Okay.
A lot of
Wow.
dropping out of airplanes over there with parachutes. Soldiers got them road.
Oh really?
I got the whole story on them, yeah.
Wow. How long have you had this one?
15 years.
Okay. Is it kind of in this condition or have you kind of refurbished it or?
No, it was pretty much that way when I got it.
Oh yeah?
Come off of a Air Force base in Massachusetts.
Okay.
A friend of mine said, "We're gonna have one for sale." And it was really getting hard to find.
Yeah.
I bought it.
Simplex manufacturing.
New Orleans. Made in New Orleans.
Oh, does it come with a sidecar? Because it says sidecar on ours.
Well, I got one. So
Okay.
I built the sidecar.
Okay.
And listen, it's neat.
Yeah.
Because I done it, but it
Yeah.
turned out really good.
Kickstart then.
Yeah.
Wow, that is cool.
Well, thank you.
All right, let's see what's inside. So, a very cool gift shop. You can get just about anything you want. Hats, t-shirts,
History and mystery.
Christmas decorations, some Mothman Christmas decorations for your tree. Because it's only 9 months till Christmas. Right around the corner. T-shirts, t-shirts, and t-shirts. So this is the Mothman Museum. And again, just to recap, it started showing up out around the plant just outside of Point Pleasant, where they made a lot of ammunition. And over 100 people had testified that they have seen it. So here are some of the newspaper articles from the time regarding the bridge collapse. Very, very sad, that part of it. And of course, the legend is that the Mothman showing up was a prophecy for tragedy. And this is some of the memorabilia from the actual movie. Actual props, different clothes that were worn. Here's a little mock-up of the bridge. Kind of showing.
Steel section from
Yeah.
the bridge.
Some more articles. Steel section from the bridge, you can see it bent. Some of the items used during the recovery of the bridge. There's a picture of the bridge, how it looked back in the day.
So this one section shows it collapsed here over land.
Right.
So whoever was here may have been a little bit luckier.
Yeah, but it ended up being a lot of just rubble right there. But that was the part there that they were thinking about that was still intact, that they were thinking about keeping, but second guessed that and thought it'd be better if they just let it go and not have it be a daily reminder. This is a little model of replica of the power plant, and that's where supposedly the Mothman was seen. And they had these, what they call these igloos, where ammunitions were stored, and that's where supposedly people saw him. There's some articles, actually not articles, but handwritten notes from the reports to the police. This is, if you don't know the Mothman, that's kind of what they said they saw. And the strange thing was, not long after that, they started talking about the men in black showing up. No Fresh Prince. And the story is they actually went to a newspaper reporter who had been doing stories, knocked on her door and suggested that she no longer report on her stories and her findings. So we're not saying that happened or didn't happen. We're just saying that's what the stories were. You make your own call. John Keel was the individual who really brought this to light in publications, movies. 1966, John Keel became hooked on the subject of UFOs. He traveled all over the country, interviewing witnesses and conducting his own field research. He decided to come here and do his own research. When he got here, he found that impossible coincidences and strange phenomena would follow him wherever he traveled. He would find the same thing to be happening with many of the eyewitnesses of the creature that was later dubbed the Mothman. 8 years later, he published his book, The Mothman Prophecies, which was based on the events he experienced during his time in town. More than 20 years after that, a major motion picture was released based on his book. And here is the infamous Mothman statue. Everybody who comes through here gets their picture taken. Legend of the Mothman, sculpted by Bob Roach from New Haven, West Virginia. Well, that was our tour of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. As I had mentioned in the opening, it's really a town of history and mystery, from Revolutionary War period history, Native American history, Mothman history, supernatural history, and tragic history. Have it all in one city on a beautiful day. What did you think, Dawn?
I thought it was really good. It's a beautiful day to be down here and check everything out, visit the memorial. It was a very somber area to be in, and Mothman Museum is pretty cool. So you come down here, you got to find that statue's right there outside the museum, so you could get a really cool picture.
Yeah, pretty
That's
cool
good.
area. Definitely worth coming down here for the day. Easy ride down from Columbus.
As
So
a moth just flies by.
Well, that I don't think the little tiny
It
thing
didn't
was.
have legs though.
It wasn't 8 foot tall and didn't have red eyes. So could have been a Mothman baby. Who knows?
Who knows?
But hope it kind of prompted something for you to come down here on your own sometime. We ask that you please hit the subscribe and like button to help us continue doing other videos. If you've been down here before, drop a comment below. Tell us what you thought to help everybody else that might come down here in the future. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you again on our next adventure.
See ya.
See ya.